Welcome to part 2 in my series on making gold on the trading post. In the first video I discussed a technique for taking advantage of the price difference between buy and sell orders called the spread, and I used tier 1, 2, and 3 crafting mats in the examples. This is a clip from the original video that shows me trading venom sacs. I also was trading fangs, vials of blood, and doing quick transactions, taking advantage of the spread, which would generally be about 20 to 30 copper, buying in quantities of 10, and as quickly as I would buy them and put them up for sale, they would be sold, and then I'd take the money and do it over and over and over, and it was a pretty good technique. However, that was during the first 2 weeks. Since then, with a lot of people doing it, a lot of people starting to craft, the spreads have thinned a great deal. And this is what it looks like today. You look at venom sacs, and you can see that the sell orders are 1 silver, 1 copper. The buy orders are 90 copper. And this is what will happen if you tried to do a buy and a sell on venom sacs today. You would actually lose a few copper. You have to take into account that transaction fee. So what to do? Well, we find new spreads. So I kind of fell into the new strategy based on getting a loot drop on a rare piece of armor and looking at the spread on it. And then I tied that with some information from watching another video about a technique for salvaging rare weapons for the ectoplasm and other materials to sell on the trading post. What that told me is that people are buying and selling weapons and armor of rare quality for other reasons than equipping them, which means that there will be a better market if people are actually salvaging this stuff. So I started looking around after I sold this one item, and I realized the spread on that item was like 5 or 6 silver. I mean, it was like the buy orders were 2 silver and they were selling for 10 silver. You're only buying 1 item versus 10 at a time, and the spread is actually a lot better than in my original examples. So searching for the items is fairly straightforward. What I do is I use the search criteria. I pick armor, and then I pick a particular type of armor, and then I choose rare. It's important that you pick rare. And then I sort on price, descending, or is that ascending? Sort ascending. Then if you need to narrow it down based on a prefix or a suffix, you type that into the text box. And then you can start looking at your differentiation between your buys and your sells. And you can see here on this one that it's 6 silver. One thing to take into consideration here is that buying and selling rare armor is not going to turn around or fill. The orders aren't going to fill as quickly as they did on the crafting mat. So you can't just sit there and literally watch it happen. You're going to have to place some orders, pick a few pieces of armor that have good spreads, place your orders, and then go do something else, come back, and usually within an hour you can go back and pick up your items and put them up for sale, buy some new items, then go do something else. And just like with the crafting mats or anything else, you have to be sure that the spread is wide enough that you're going to make money on it after you subtract the 15% fee. You can see here's an example of one that really doesn't have any room on it. Also sorting on prefixes and suffixes if you would like to specialize in pirate gear versus divinity gear. But as I said before, always choose rare, sort ascending on the price. Here I'm looking at scavenging as a suffix.
I'm renewed.
And that's market research. My version of market research. Okay, price trends. This is also my own terminology here. It might not be exactly appropriate for what I'm going to explain to you. When you're looking at buys and sells, the order of the existing orders should be fairly uniform. Here you can see that at $4.99, all of a sudden the prices change by 1 silver. So that $3.94 and that $2.94 are actually kind of abnormal. So you're going to want to put in a price here of $4.98 and skip those two, because there's only one available. So they're not really orders that were created by somebody who was really paying attention to the general trend of the buys and sells on this particular item. So I'm just going to ignore those altogether, and I'll just wait for those to kick off before mine does. Show another example of that. I think I'm going to show another example of that. Okay, now here's one. 2 available at 7 silver, and then after that it's a fairly uniform price. Actually, it's not really. There's a 10 and a 10, and then it goes to 13. Now these prices are really nice order, as you can see, except that bottom one for 1 copper. I think one joker went in and put a 1 copper order on everything, and when you don't have a lot of orders, that actually might happen. You know, he might actually fill that. I'm sure he wouldn't have gone to the trouble of doing it on just about every item if it wasn't working. Okay, chasing a price. This, you can do it because basically buy orders don't cost you anything. You don't have to pay any kind of transaction fee. When you place a buy order, you can cancel it anytime you want. I have one example here in particular where I put in a buy order for something and then realized several hours later that it hadn't filled. So I canceled that order, went and got my money back, and placed another order. And then found that that order was being undercut, or somebody was offering more than I was by 1 or 2 copper. So then I had to go back and cancel that order and put in another order, and what that's essentially doing when you've got a number of people doing that is it's driving the price up. You know, we're each continuing to say we're willing to pay a little bit more for it, and that's how spreads thin, you know, get thin, but in this particular case the spread is wide enough that I can play around with that for a while. Here you can see where I'm going to get my money back on one and keep the other one. And you can keep doing that, chasing an item until it gets to the point where it's too high to even worry about. It's just based on your competition, I guess. And these are my final results as of today on a number of days, I guess 4 or 5 days of buying and selling rare armor. And you can see here my sell prices all range 6 to 10, and all my purchases range 1 to 3. So I'm actually making more per transaction than I was with the crafting mats. So it's just a matter of getting out there, spending some time looking for items with spreads. I think that the rare armor and rare weapons as well. The weapons are a bit more pricey, but based on the fact that they're being used for salvaging and not just for equipping, there's a good market for it. It moves a little bit slower, but it's still a good market. And I think because the price spreads can be 5, 10, 15 or more silver, that it's going to be a while before those spreads thin out the way they did with the crafting mats. So what I've got here now is a few more minutes of some trading examples. If you'd like to watch those, I'm going to end the commentary though at this point, and I hope that helps you continue to use this technique. This is Capstan, Drop Dead Guides. Love this game. Later, man. Oh, and if you haven't subbed, please do. I've got a lot of videos out now. I cover a lot of different areas. I do jump puzzles. I occasionally do a personal story. I've got a number of good crafting videos. My PvP videos are getting better. You know, back in the beginning, they were more comical than anything else, but
how can I help you?
I am starting to get better with that. So there's a good, well-rounded selection of videos. So please sub if you haven't. Okay, bye.
How do you do?
I'm doing quite well, actually. I just finished up a video and I'm heading out. If you saw this in an alley, would you laugh or cry? I don't think I'd be laughing. Wow, what a colorful character this is. Hey, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Oh well.